For me, any form of social injustice is just wrong. Society should be a place where everybody is equal before the law, irrespective of your positioning, your status, your family, or your background.
Nollywood is one of the fastest growing film industries in the world, and we have achieved worldwide recognition for our very unique spin on our culture and experiences. Now, it's also very interesting to note how Nollywood depicts LGBT people, and I'm sure a couple of titles just popped into your head. Today on the show, we will be having a conversation about Nollywood and how it influences or can influence the perception and depiction of LGBT people. My name is Arit Okpo, and this is Untold Facts.
Society should be a place where everybody is equal before the law, irrespective of your position.
Guys, I have the best possible people to discuss Nollywood and how it depicts LGBT people. I have two award-winning filmmakers in the house today. The one, and the only, I like stressing this woman out, Tope Oshin. Award-winning, she's done lots and lots of work, and she's so quiet about it, which is why I have so much fun. The second person is the incredible, also award-winning Asurf Oluseyi. And in fact, he has a very unique perspective on today's topic, which we will uncover as time goes on. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Can we start this conversation with your impressions of how LGBT people are depicted in Nollywood? Generally, what would you say is the prevailing mindset?
I don't know if she should start, but for me, immediately I'd just say that from what I've seen so far over the years, there seems to be some sort of obsession with the LGBT community in Nollywood. And it's funny coming from a country that's so homophobic. You know, I've seen so many movies, particularly I stumble on them online or on YouTube or Twitter, or someone is making jokes about them or something, and there's always this outlandish character that is presented, you know, either the guy dressed garishly with makeup or all sorts, or then when they present lesbian characters, they're presented as prostitutes, you know, basically,
or psychotic,
you know, objectifying, and it's always like on the negative side, you know, and that for me has been the Nollywood experience so far. And my stand is, if you're so obsessed, you know, by this particular community, have you taken time to study, to research, to find out who they are, to find out, you know, how the community works, you know, who are these people? If I want to write a story about them, how do I want to do it? But then at the same time, I feel like Nollywood is not interested in proper representation. I think the intention from get-go is negativity, to say, you know, this is all black, let's make fun of it, or just paint it black and say, you know, it's a no-no.
Asurf, do you think that that is because they're trying to reflect public opinion? I know that a lot of filmmakers work hard at their jobs. This is not to diminish what they do, but we're getting better at telling stories about sensitive issues. So is this reluctance to be accurate or to be informed where LGBT issues and people are concerned? Do you think it's because they're trying to be sensitive to public opinion?
In our society, you know, we still see LGBT as like an alien situation. Like it's not our thing, it's just for the white, and it's not part of us. And when you look at film, generally, you can throw away the business side of it. As a filmmaker, there's always a reason why you're doing a film. Passion, sometimes, but most times business. And you also want to create something that you know you can sell. So sometimes you realize the society's perception influence producers' decision in what or the kind of stories that they tell. So, but my own problem is when we start, it's just the negative representation of LGBT characters in our films. But I think that is changing, at least gradually, and it'll get better. And you can't limit that to Nollywood alone. I think it's a worldwide thing. Even in America, there is little visibility of LGBT characters in their film. But I believe over time that will change.
Now, we know that the media can influence public perception. We see it lots of times. That's why we have awareness films. Why do you think we aren't making as much of an effort to influence perception where it comes to LGBT stories? You know, why are we trying to say that in this case, art is imitating life rather than letting life imitate art?
I think to a large extent, the first thing we need to consider here is, do they care? Care is important. If I don't care about, you know, something or an issue, I don't care to represent it properly.
This
you
is
know,
true.
So for me, I think that's the biggest thing. Even when you're talking about the media and correct representation of the LGBT community, the media largely doesn't care. Nigeria is largely a homophobic country.
Despite our obsession with it.
And you mentioned that, you know, why are we expecting art to imitate life when life can imitate art? Art can actually imitate life. Art can actually influence life.
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
because, I mean, even in Hollywood, a major part of America's branding is from Hollywood.
Yes,
everybody wants to have the American dream, but it's not exactly what it is. It is what the films have shown us that it is. You know, it's this glorious country and all of that. And fine, that's a great tool, which is what art can do as well, if only we care enough. Why should we care enough about representing the LGBT community in a proper way, or any subject or anybody at all? It's correctness and being true to whatever it is you're doing. It is art. So if you are going to talk about or create LGBT characters at all, do you care enough to think that these are human beings as well? Can I understand their psyche, their psychology? Why would someone choose, you know, to be crucified? Why would someone choose to be an object of hatred? If we start to think about those things, then it will help for us to care about correct representation. But the core of it is care. There is no care, and that's where we need to get to before we can get any further.
When you talked about somebody being an object of hatred, I had a conversation recently, and somebody was talking about the fact that Nollywood actors even would be hesitant to be cast as being LGBT because there's that fear of, okay, if I do this too realistically, outside this film, will I be stigmatized? Is that a real fear?
Yeah. Okay. There's fear everywhere. Not only in film, even in the society there's fear. And people create law, even the people that are creating this law about that influence homophobia, always feel we're creating the law for that community, for the LGBT community. But the truth of the matter is, whatever situation, whatever law that affects a section of the society, actually affect all of us.
Yeah, affects everybody.
But they don't really say it in that line. So, because there is law against homosexuality in Nigeria, there's this fear, like, okay, if I try to mention it, if I try to talk about it,
so
maybe I might probably just get. Do you understand? Till we start dealing with that fear, that's why you have the media also have their bite of it. You see actors like the LI Water was a tough one to cast. So you see actors saying, you know what, I don't want to be, and you can't attack them for doing that because they also have their reasons. Some will say just getting featured, people start assuming
that this is who I am.
And society start miming you to that sport. Even your immediate society start looking you like, okay, and you have that to deal with as a person. So I think they will start dealing with the fear, and which is the more reason why we need to explore the theme and talk about it, show it in our films, so that people can get educated about it, get to even study the law, because the fact that we even have law against it put us in a good spot to really play around the theme.
Yeah, because I have to say that there's a series, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's a series, and there were two guys in the series that were very close friends, and I'm not joking, half the time I used to say, in another country, by now these boys would be lovers. Because their friendship it seemed to, even outside their relationships, they had such a bond that from an artistic, creative level, you want to see them explore that.
In real life.
And I just said, what if they make that mistake? All the public support for that series, I know, would just vanish. So what's the way forward then? Is this something that the LGBT community needs to get involved in? Is this something that we should wait until the public perception changes? Should we force the issue? What are the next steps?
For me, I think by and largely, I've used the word largely like 5 times.
Sorry.
I think this war needs to end. And I'm talking about from the LGBT community as well as the general community. The LGBT community needs to stop seeing these people as the enemies. because what I've felt so far is, yeah, I'm LGBT and I'm proud, go and die, you know, and all of that.
Don't you feel that's also a reaction to...
It is a reaction, but you see, these people do not know anything about you. They don't know why you are you. They don't know why your sexuality is your sexuality. So how about you start by trying to educate them? Start by, for me, as a filmmaker, my biggest stories are human stories. I'm in love with human stories, which is why, you know, I have the tolerance, or I'm interested, or, you know, I'm interested in finding the truth and presenting the truth in any way. For me, we are all human. If the LGBT community is able to present the humanity of who they are and try to explain it in those terms. Like I said earlier, why would somebody choose to be at risk of being stoned on the streets? Why would somebody choose to be disowned by their family? Why would somebody choose to be ostracized in the community? You need to start having those conversations and, you know, get people to reason. Why would I choose to be this if I have
a choice?
Yeah, you know, I can choose to be accepted, you know, and do what everybody deems is right. So let's start those conversations from understanding, like, let me help you understand who I am. Then maybe from there, you know, we can start bridging the gap and we can start killing the hatred and we can start having some more tolerance. Because, I mean, you're not saying that everybody has to be LGBT, but you're just saying, I need to help you understand who I am and why I am here and why I'm your son or your daughter or your sister or your brother or your friend, you know, that you know or might never know.
You know, you've answered a very important question, because especially when we talk about this wave in the US of black people, black filmmakers telling stories about being black, there's always this question of, well, why are you people fighting so hard? But like you're saying, the truth is that sometimes you have to be the one telling your story. You have to be the one saying, let me open this door and show you who I am. And you did that very recently with Hello High Water. So let's talk about that experience.
So Hello High Water, it was a beautiful experience as well for me. It was a moment in my life when I had to study the team. I had to study everything about LGBT. Study the people, study a lot about the community. There's a strong connection between love and life. And once you understand the two, you just find it hard to hate. So, what is wrong with a man loving a man? For me, I just love the story. I've always wanted to tell the man's story. If you have followed through most of my work, these are stuff that does with fear, life, and death. So for Hello Water, I was looking at the life part of it and the love part of it, and I felt, okay, this is true story. If it does exist, then let's tell it. The fact that people are not really telling it even puts me on a good spot to tell that kind of story. A lot of people were worried for me, though.
But what sort of reactions have you gotten?
It was so bad, even my closest friend don't want to be part of it.
That bad?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think I tried enough to make them realize, you know what, the fear that you think you have for this is the reason why you're not studying it. What if you put the fear on the side and study it, and you realize we're talking about real people here.
Yeah.
Real life issue.
Real stories.
Some people are dying because of this.
Yes.
There's too much hate in the world. Why hard?
Now, Tope, listening to this, and like you've said, you have such a love for the human story.
Yeah.
If you were going to tell a story about the LGBT community, what context would be important to you, or what would you want to say, or what would you want people to see?
Humanity. That's all.
As simple as
For
that.
me, it's as simple as humanity. Someone's sexuality or how they want to be does not mean that they're less human. That is the interest for me, because either you like it or not, everybody cannot live their lives by your own rules or by your own standards. So they will always exist. There will always be black people, white people, there are mixed people. I mean, from time immemorial, human beings have always tried to put classes, you know, in different things. And time and again, humanity itself defies this. We want to say we are white or we are black. We have mixed race people now.
Exactly,
We want to say men are masculine, women are feminine. We have effeminate men. We have masculine identifying women. So nature itself negates, goes against, you know,
blurs all those lines.
Exactly, blurs all those lines against classifying. Does that demystify us? Does that reduce our human existence? No.
I like what I'm hearing. Although I'm tempted to feel that maybe you people are like lone voices crying in the desert, so to speak, or is it crying in the wilderness? Lone voices anyway. Do you think Nollywood as a whole is ready to take charge of turning this tide? Or in your opinion, do you think that you people like you will continue to be sole voices until perhaps we start accepting that this is not a Western notion, but that this is about human beings? What do you think? Where do you see this going?
I think someone just needs to start, actually. And that might probably encourage others to want to do it. If let's say, for any filmmaker feeling, okay, my worry of not telling LGBT theme film is because of my career, at least I could be, you can use me as a case study. Has anything changed? For bad? No. It's been good. I see posts every day, people talking about the film. Lot of, with the selections across, even outside Nigeria, puts me on a better place. Do you understand? And that can inspire others as well to want to explore. Hopefully, with advent of filmmakers coming out to talk about and tell stories around the theme, it will probably encourage others as well to do so.
Now, you talked about LGBT people realizing that it's not a war, and that, you know, there are some times that you have to create these relationships in order to have your stories told, you know, in a better way. Now, when we're creating stories, we're talking about nuance, about creating stories that show the complexities, the texture, the color of the life of any couple that just happen to be of the same gender. How do you think these stories will impact the community itself, especially with even so many LGBT people afraid to confront and accept who they are? How do you think this will affect the community?
I think it's one step at a time. It's not something you can force, and you can only do it day by day, in as gradual a way as you can. For me, one of the biggest things that I took away from watching Hell or High Water was the human angle, you know. And even some people that, you know, made comments in the hall said that as well, like that the only thing they can see here is a man in a helpless situation. You know, and that's where I think the conversations can start, you know, just gently, one step at a time. You also have to realize that in some societies, Nigeria in particular, the law and the ruling makes it a lot difficult. And it's not just against the LGBT people, but
against anybody who seems,
do you understand?
like they're
Exactly, which is why you have people going out of their way to show the hatred, like, I'm not there,
this is bad. See, I'm showing you.
You know, so it's just a step away from saying, I'm going to give you 7 million naira if you identify for me any LGBT person around you or your family. So this is what, you know, we also have to be true to knowing that we're dealing with in Nigeria or in some African countries. It's not just about that person, you know, that you are not going to talk about. It's about telling them that don't ignore that person, report that person, you know. That is why this is so. So if you're going to get this person to understand you or to be your ally or to start, you know, trying to understand who you are, then you have to do it in baby steps, bit by. You cannot offend their sensibilities. You cannot come at them fighting. You cannot say, I also have a right to live. Yes, I understand. I don't think it's needed. I don't think I don't think it's needed, because if somebody does not understand you, you cannot fight. You know, that's a starting ground. If they can't even see from your point of view, how do you start to fight? You will fight forever, and you will not, there will be no meeting point.
Do you think that that also sometimes now gives the sense that it is the LGBT people that need to, I understand that they're a minority, and with any minority, it's you feel like the responsibility is on you to get the majority to accept you. But do you feel that that puts a lot more pressure on the LGBT community, as opposed to letting the larger majority realize that, look, we are people just like you. Again, referencing in many of the stories about black people being told, they're confronting racism and they're not apologizing for it. They're saying this is what was happening. And you guys need to accept that there's situations that made us feel less than human. So again, how soft does this, you know, incursion have to be? How soft do the voices have to be?
I think community also should get involved, you know, as practitioners, as writers. They are the one that can actually write their own story. It's just like the black community telling their own stories, basically. They should just get involved. Sorry to bring religion into it. It's just like you thinking the pressure is none. The pressure of you inviting people into salvation is not on the pastor. The majority part of it is on the pastor, because as a general, as an individual, you just want to live your life, sleep and wake up. The pastor has the duty of going out there preaching the gospel and trying to encourage people to jump on, to come to the path of salvation. Okay. So the community should also get involved.
Be more proactive.
Yeah, and be open. The fact that people don't accept you doesn't really puts you against them. Yeah. Because here is what happened. We're preaching against it. And I'm saying no to you, and you're attacking me. You're already hating also on me. Yeah. So, and if that continues, that means there's no conversation.
There's no conversation.
So they should be open. Like Auntie said, is a step at a time. Over time, it will get better, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, you mentioned acceptance, and I think acceptance maybe should not be the focus maybe right now. Maybe understanding is the first thing. Just understand me. That's all.
That's all. Yeah. That's all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tope. Thank you, Asurf, for giving that perspective on how, you know, Nollywood and the LGBT community interact. And this is the truth. You know, Nollywood goes beyond entertainment. There is also the potential to tell stories that the average person does not encounter. And it would be a great thing to see both the LGBT community and Nollywood work together to tell the underreported stories, and in that way help people to see the community from a perspective that they haven't before. Now, you know that I would love to hear your perspectives on this. So why don't you reach out to us on any of our social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube at Tears Nigeria. Share your perspective using the hashtag Untold Facts too, and let's start this conversation. Let's get this going. My name is Arit Okpo. Thank you so much for watching.